Welcome back, HR Stories podcast listeners. This is producer Sam here. In today's episode, we are going to be covering 4 main categories that were the highlights of 2025. It is important to remember that some of these topics may have updated information since we originally recorded them. We're going to be sharing them though because there are some really important themes for us to keep in mind as we head into 2026. Keep listening into the HR Stories podcast every week so that you can get the most up-to-date information. As we go through this episode, whenever you hear this sound, that's when it'll know that we've moved on to another clip. Up first, we're going to be talking about DEI, and this was certainly a hot-button topic with the new administration coming into office. So listen in as the team recaps some of the most pressing questions around DEI and how to properly move forward.
Despite the executive order President Donald Trump issued over the last couple of weeks, the EEOC is still reviewing gender issues in the coming weeks, months, and years. It is still illegal to discriminate based on gender identity.
One of the things that I will tell everyone, and it was very clear, but no one talked about it, in one of Trump's executive order trying to get rid of DEI, what the order said was you cannot do illegal DEI programs. Right? Okay, well, hopefully you haven't been doing illegal DEI programs. There's a lot going on because I work in the nonprofit world and I see people like, how do we do that? Do we need to remove our pronouns? How do we handle that? And that's going to be a case-by-case decision because of federal money, grant money. They do have some power there. You want your leadership to really look at this. This is where getting an employment lawyer involved. We need all of you, right? Listeners, you all need to be paying attention to what's going on at the highest level of our federal government in terms of what are they actually saying, always asking for clarification. If you hear something, don't do it just because one person said it. Make sure 3 or 4 highly reputable people are saying it. It's very easy to get caught up in this news cycle. Chuck and I are paying attention. All right, so let's break this down. What should we do? Number 1, broaden your recruitment outreach to attract more diverse candidates in a way that's not illegal, right? You want to reach out and go, all right, instead of just going to this one neighborhood, we are going to go to the whole city and communicate and reach out to as many people as possible. Use inclusive language in your job ads. Make sure your interview panels are diverse. And standardize interview questions. A lot of times we hire people through a referral program or because we know them or we feel comfortable with them. And I think that stops, right? That stops us from hiring a diverse pool and doing that. I mean, that's still legal to go out and I want to reach out beyond my comfort zone and bring people in. I think that's okay. Yeah, and so what not to do, set quotas. We need to have so many people from this religion, so many people from the LGBT community, so many people from this particular race, right? And then what not to do is exclude applicants based on race or sex, and then don't give preferences based solely on protected traits.
Intention doesn't override the law. Focus on expanding the pipeline, not manipulating the outcome.
If we are a federal contractor, and even if we're a private company, we need to be aware if we are doing diversity, equity, and inclusion, that it's going to be looked at with a fine-tooth comb to see if we are doing anything illegal. The 1964 Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VII, still stands. Age and Discrimination Act, the Americans with Disability Act, all of those still stand, but we have to be careful that we don't take DEI and discriminate against any other races or anything, right? Or sex or any of that kind of stuff. I think diversity, equity, and inclusion can be very beneficial for organizations. We know having a diverse workforce helps. When we include people, when we have inclusion, bringing people into the fold, making them feel welcomed, they're going to work harder for us, right? And so making sure that we're thinking about that and doing those things, but not at the point of discriminating against other person. In fact, I wrote an article on LinkedIn. People can go check that out.
Next up, we're going to talk about AI, and I think that we can all agree that this was the year for AI. So listen in as the team reviews some of the best practices and things to keep in mind as we all head into 2026 answering that question for our bosses: how can we automate that?
AI.
AI.
Once you create a system, you can automate that system. It was really interesting. Chipotle rolled out an AI assistant that screens candidates and answers their questions and schedules interviews. It slashes hiring time in half.
They presented it as helping their teams, right, connect faster and more personally with real people.
How much of that paperwork and how much of all those things that need to be done. And if we can find a tool that we can use to get rid of those things, now we can spend the time we need interviewing, right? That personal touch.
And they are requiring most of their staff to start going through artificial intelligence prompt training, right? So how to prompt, how to put prompts in to get the information that you want. And they're trying to boost their company's proficiency with that technology. I have been using it, and I'm not using it like, oh, write me a memo about this and write me a memo about that. But what I've been doing is I've been using it to help me audit benefit invoices, or help me understand in September 2024 and September 2025, here's our two invoices. Help me understand why 2025 is so much more budget impactful, right? More expensive than 2024. And, rather than me going through each line of the AI is helping me slice and dice. And that is saving me hours upon hours of work.
What I've realized, and this will be a great tool for managers to learn how to give specific instructions to employees, because when you give AI an instruction, it kind of takes it on its own unless you're very specific. Right? And so learning that, and I think that's such an important thing. When we say something to an employee, they are translating that through their set of values, through what I call their advantage point, and they're making a decision what to do. And so if we're not specific enough, or we don't have the right cultural understanding, they could get it wrong.
They analyzed 4 million AI user prompts, and they found out that 57% of the AI prompts that people are using are for augmentation rather than automation. Because there's always been this fear, oh my gosh, AI is going to take my job. Well, maybe not. Maybe people are using AI to augment their current roles. The future may be one where current jobs are evolving rather than disappearing.
I am still concerned about the bias of the AI and what is it doing and that kind of stuff. And I love the concept that it's evolving our jobs. It's a tool. How do you use this tool to make your job easier and better? It's also going to be a chance for us as HR professionals to use it to be more effective in our responses to our employees, more effective in our processing of data and information so we can make better decisions. So AI has a place for sure, but I think we just need to be careful.
I have one conversation on ChatGPT, which houses our employee handbook. I'll basically text things, say, here's the situation, here's what happened, take some of the manager notes, and I'll say, now, based on that, in the handbook, tell me what policies were violated and where it's directly into the handbook. It would have taken me an hour to go through the handbook, read through the handbook every time, find those policies, copy and paste them out, and that sort of thing. This takes me less than a minute or two to get that.
Immigration has certainly become a hot button topic in 2025. It has become more important than ever to make sure that your team is properly educated on how to be ready for a potential ICE raid, as well as making sure that your business has taken all the proper steps to be ready for any documentation checks that may come. Listen in as the guys recap some of the most important things to keep in mind.
There's been numerous ICE raids in the Nashville, Tennessee area. And there was a story the other day that it was a Saturday night and there was supposedly going to be some ICE raids. And managers were shutting down kitchens, going, anybody that's undocumented needs to leave right now.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
And so they were leaving, right? They were leaving because they were there.
I haven't heard of anything down here yet, but I do have all my I-9s in order. We've did a whole I-9 audit just over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, which is a good reminder, listeners. If you haven't done an I-9 audit lately, highly recommend in the next week or two you go through, update your I-9s, make sure you have an I-9 for every single one of your employees. And we're hearing from that community that people are feeling unsafe, not the undocumented ones, but the people that are even documented, have the visas, still feel unsafe because they're afraid they're going to be there. And so underlying this is work shortages in the hospitality industry, at least in Nashville. They revoked the temporary protected statuses for Venezuelan nationals, and the Supreme Court upheld this move, which means that these individuals lose both protection from deportation and the ability to work legally in the United States. So I don't know how many of those were working in the United States, but that could be a big impact on a lot of organizations, especially in construction, hospitality.
There's a number of Venezuelans and Cubans that have come in. They made appointments. They didn't come. They didn't sneak under a fence. They literally made an appointment. They got an interview, and they were given documents to work, and they were given an asylum court dates. Yeah, it's 2 years from now, but I know that has been a stickler point. It's a political thing, and I don't, share a lot of just general opinions like this. But I got to tell you, this is horrible. This is absolutely horrible, especially the folks that came in legally. And the Venezuelan people that I have working with me and for me are the hardest workers I can find.
But what happens is when there is a country going under some kind of strain and people need to leave there, they will sometimes head to the United States to get a place. And so in that case, there was lots of going on down there. So we gave them, the United States gave them temporary protected status. And now Trump has said, you know what, we're going to send you back. What happens if ICE shows up at your workplace, Chuck? They come knocking at your door. Do we have to let them in? What does HR do in that moment?
Look, all of our employees are legal, but what we're seeing is people being, and we've had this happen, people maybe in the process of reapplying or something along those lines. Their visas are all legal, but they're getting picked up.
Give me 5 different checklists, 5 different things on a checklist that I can do and I can do right now so I feel a little bit better tomorrow morning.
So 5 things. Number 1, confirm your front desk people know to call legal counsel and HR if agents arrive. Number 2, review your site map. What areas are clearly marked as public versus private? Number 3, have your HR team check with the last time an internal I-9 audit was done. If it's more than 12 to 24 months ago, schedule one right now. Number 4, write down, and this is important, people will be like, it'll be fine. Write down your first 10-minute playbook. Agent arrives, reception notifies HR legal present, employee rights are communicated, boom, 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 boom. And number 5, communicate broadly to managers. If law enforcement arrives, do not block doorways, do not remove documents yourself unless advised, document everything, and then send a memo, later that evening or the next morning.
And this last section is all about workplace culture. Go ahead and listen into this hodgepodge of questions and answers as the guys review everything from tattoos to birthdays in the workplace to maybe working 32 hours a week across whatever days work best for you. Sounds pretty good.
Here are the big takeaways. And once you know it, there are 3 things. Number 1, clarify the state of employment. In job offers and in employment contracts, explicitly state where the employment relationship is based. Number 2, be aware of remote work policies. Just because an employee works remotely doesn't mean the laws of their home state apply. So courts are going to look at where the work is directed and the company's primary location. And number 3, no surprise, John, consult legal experts. We're not lawyers here, but multi-state compliance is complicated. Partner with a legal counsel to ensure you understand how different state laws apply to your remote workplace.
Does anyone post birthdays, anniversaries on a bulletin board?
I do know there are some people that don't want their birthday published, or even for sometimes religious reasons. And if someone brought that up, I would immediately take that down.
Create an opt-in form where people can opt in to celebrate their birthday at work. Allow people to opt in versus opting out.
You want to make sure that any department leaders, directors, or VPs, if there's any managers that are having birthdays in their department, or any employees, to let them know. Incivility in the workplace. So there's this thing called the SHRM Civility Index, and it's a quarterly pulse survey designed to gauge the levels of civility and incivility in the workplace. 76% of respondents overall indicated they had witnessed acts of incivility over the past month, with 21% of those folks saying, hey, I personally experienced it.
We know that in terms of leadership, empathy is one of the most important traits for a great leader. How do we become more empathetic in our day-to-day work?
A true leader understand, and I'm talking like real-time people that I've dealt with that have empathy. If something happens to an employee, something personal, an employee has to leave, an employee has to call off, leave early, come in late, good leaders are like, no problem, we'll figure it out. But what I tend to see is managers that are just irritated, and all they're focused in is the inconvenience they're going to have in the operation. And a good leader's going to be obviously aware of that too, but the empathy comes out. Says, you know what? Yeah. You got to, oh God, I feel so bad. I understand, rather than,
Let me ask you, Chuck. I know you work with leaders in your organization. What are 1 or 2 things that you think all leaders need to be trained on?
I would have to say how to talk to employees. Just how to talk to employees to get them to do what they need to do. How to lead, not to push. How to have employees follow you rather than you standing behind them and pushing them. I'm always struck by the amount of situations I deal with in my office where employees come in and their managers were mean to them. It wasn't that they did anything like, it wasn't a calm conversation, and it wasn't a graceful or gracious conversation. It could be a condescending conversation, you're an effing idiot conversation, a yelling, and I'm thinking, really? Where did you learn how to talk to people in general and to employees? So I think that's huge.
And I would add on top of that is setting clear expectations from day one. Because if you can get an agreement like these are the expectations of the job, then anytime they're out of those expectations, you have a conversation. Remember, we talked about the expectations, you agreed to them. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, I need to do that. All right, great, right? We're having those conversations. And I think a lot of managers don't do that. They don't take the time up front to be like, okay, the expectations of this job are.
Can you have policies about tattoos and piercings? And then the second part, are there any religious concerns around that?
The policy at the company I work for is no offensive tattoos. It's a very broad policy, and I basically have built into their no tattoos up above the neckline, collarbone.
I don't mind tattoos at all. I love tattoos. I think it's a part of personal expression. It tells me who you are and what you like and what's important to you. But I do think it depends on the work environment, right? I would not expect to see that in a big legal form, depending on your clients and who you're representing and that kind of stuff. Yes, you can have policies about tattoos and piercings to best represent your brand, but I will follow up that you need to be careful because some religions require tattoos.
The question then becomes, what is considered offensive? You have to kind of frame it up in the terms of your harassment guidelines, really.
I asked in one of my workshops, what kind of policies, what unique policies do you have in there? And somebody said they have a no hickey policy.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, and so there was a rash of hickeys going around, and I said, "Oh, well, do you allow tattoos?" Because I'm going to say, "Well, that's just a tattoo," and they're like, "No, we don't allow tattoos. No hickeys," because these unique policies. There's always a story behind them. Companies that implement a 4-day work week have more satisfied employees, increased well-being, and are able to save money. So there's a company in the UK called Lumen, SEO. They had a 4-day work week. The CEO of Lumen's, he goes, you know what? We're going to abandon the 4-day work week. Instead of having to work 4 8-hour days, you have to work 32 hours.
5 days.
No. When you work is up to you. The majority of the company being made up of women. There are periods during a woman's cycle where energy and the immune system are higher and lower. Flexibility allows for women to lean into and maintain a high performance around their cycle. His next reason was that he wanted the company to be an attractive place to work for parents. I think it's really fascinating, but I do think, how does the team work together? I think there's possibilities to kind of make that happen and kind of do it. And they're probably working all around the globe. And so I love it. I would love to see how it plays out. I think they're going to get more people to apply for jobs, and they're going to get pick up talent for sure.
I do think it's something to think about. Like, how do we change that business culture to reduce burnout? Do your stay interviews. Ask them, like, what do you like about the benefits? What don't you like about benefits? What would make the benefits better, right? And you may find out it's not expensive, right? They may like, oh, I just want to be able to get into my own dentist, or I just want to be able to have time once a week to go to therapy. Employee engagement starts with basic needs. A lot of employers are looking to bring in daycare into the workplace because there is daycare deserts in many big cities. And so how do we make that happen?
And that just about wraps it up for us here on the HR Stories podcast as we recap the best of 2025. We look forward to building out the best of 2026 alongside you in the start of the new year, but for now we are going to be taking the next 2 weeks off as we prepare to wrap up the year and then enjoy the holiday season with our friends and family. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, or if it's helped you bring some good insights into your workplace, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, but most importantly, send in your questions, engage with the team. They are here to make sure you have the information that you need to head into your workplace looking like an expert. We look forward to seeing you at the start of the year, but until then, have a great holiday season, have a happy new year, and thank you for joining us along this journey.